live.com, and you can join us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or look us up on Skype. We look forward to receiving your instant messages on MSN or Yahoo and your text messages on 365-3346. Remember, we have two ears and one mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. So stay with us as we listen to both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Where do the children play? That's where do the children play? John Jones. I'm sending it to you as well. Where do the children play? John Jones.
Classes in session. Hour 106.
If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with fear, they learn to be apprehensive. If children live with pity, they learn to feel sorry for themselves. If children live with ridicule, they learn to feel shy. If children live with jealousy, they learn to feel envy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn patience. If children live with praise, they learn appreciation. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with recognition, they learn it is good to have a goal. If children live with sharing, they learn generosity. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with fairness, they learn justice. If children live with kindness and consideration, they learn respect. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and in those about them. If children live with friendliness, they learn the world is a nice place in which to live.
This song, dedicated especially to the people who mean so much to each other. Well, I think it's fine, flying jumbo planes.
Or hitching a ride on a Kingston train. You know I've been to school. Lord, I'm such a fool. And it isn't my fault, no, 'cause I followed the rules. I know it's a long, long way. We're changing day to day. But tell me, where will the children play?
Where do they play? We've been
Roads from way back in the past.
and they disintegrate. Lord, and it happened so fast. Cars fall apart, but you don't care. And the people complain, and the whole state there. Oh, I know we've come a long way, changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? Where do they play? Where do they play? And there's a tax increase with every crop decrease. And we learn to fight one another. Tell us that you stand for peace. But you work in the day and you sleep at night. And you live in the dark, Lord,
And you think it's light.
I know we've come a long way,
Changing day to day.
but tell me, where do the children play? Where do they play? Where do they play? Where do they play? Where do they play? Got nowhere to play. They got nowhere to play. They got nowhere to play. No, nowhere to play. Nowhere to play. They got nowhere to play. Nowhere to play. Nowhere to play.
It's the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 13th day of the 4th month of 2023, the International Year of Millets. Millets are cereals grown in warm countries and regions with poor soils, bearing a large crop of small seeds, which are chiefly used to make flour. 2023 is also the International Year of Dialogue as a guarantee of peace. The holy month of Ramadan started on the evening of Wednesday, March 22nd, and will last for 30 days, ending at sundown on Thursday, the 20th of April, 2023. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. The holy month of Ramadan is a time for fasting, prayer, and community for Muslims across the world. The month of April is being observed as World Autism Awareness Month, Arab American Heritage Month, and here in Jamaica, Cancer Awareness Month, Farmers Month, and Financial Literacy Month. Sikhs around the world, and that's SIKHS, SIKHS. Sikhs around the world are marking Baisakhi or Vaisakhi in Sikhism. New Year celebrations have been taking place in South and Southeast Asia from Cambodia to Thailand, Laos, and beyond. It's a national day in Chad, and Thomas Jefferson Day is being commemorated in the USA. Just a note, a reminder, when the T and the H are combined in most instances, the T, well, in a number of instances, the T is silent, especially when it comes to names. So for example, THOMAS. There's no need to say Thomas. That doesn't exist in the real. It's Thomas. The H is silent. Same thing for THOMPSON. It's not Thompson, it's Thompson. Now, having said that, there are some other names where you can essentially determine how your name is pronounced. So my longtime colleague and good friend, Michael Cuff, has as his middle name and pronounced as such, Anthony. It's spelled Anthony, but Mr. Cuff pronounces his name Anthony, which is fine. People can choose how they want their name to be pronounced. Other than that, Anthony is Anthony. Just thought we'd get that one in. You know we love these teachable moments. So Thomas Jefferson's birthday is being commemorated in the United States of America, and it's International Special Librarians Day. We're watching the clock, and so we'll run down the clock so that we take an accurate time signal and we come back and introduce the program in Spanish, French, and English.
So much to each other.
Walk into Marjan's Pharmacy and you will feel better. The service is clearly different. Marjan's Pharmacy, code 876-703-6335. The time by Marjan's Pharmacy is 2:15. Source One Feeds and Agricultural Supplies, your one-stop shop for feed and farm supplies, wholesalers, retailers of Nutrimix feeds, baby chicks, fungicides, insecticides, herbicides, seeds, fertilizers, home and garden supplies, and more. Visit them today at 2 Queen Street, Savannah, Lamar. Source One Feeds and Agricultural Supplies, where the customer is always number one. Call 876-955-2485. You are an exporter, helping to elevate the face of our international trade. But in order to do that, and all the other tasks on your list, you need someone that understands you. We know that finding adequate collateral as a SME can sometimes be challenging, which is why we've partnered with our friends at JMB to bring you the Exim Export Guarantee to give you that extra collateral. Call Exim Bank to find out more about the Exim Export Guarantee. Exim Bank. By helping businesses, we save lives and livelihood.
Hoy es jueves el 13 de abril 2023 y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado, porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones. Y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est jeudi le 13 avril 2023 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service par une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un du soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue. All we're saying is it's Thursday, the 13th of April, 2023, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
No, 'cause I followed you. I know we've come a long way. We're changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play?
Good afternoon to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you have downloaded from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, whenever, wherever. We're streaming live video on the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page. If you're not there yet, log on to Facebook and the search box atop the page, type DERVAN MALCOLM, and you too will be able to not just hear, but see what's happening in the studios of Power 106 FM. If you don't have a Facebook account, no sweat, there's always YouTube. All you need is a smartphone or a tablet, computer, laptop, desktop, any one of those. Then you need internet connection. But more importantly than internet connection is internet connectivity. One sure way to test for connectivity is by opening a browser like Google Chrome, for example. And if you're able to browse, like search for people, places, things, etc., then you're good to go. If not, then you might have a bit of a challenge on your hands. Norman Hines in St. Thomas is greeting us. Good afternoon, Norman Hines. Thank you very much for tuning in. Simi Blair says, good afternoon, Dervan. To you too, Simi Blair. Colette Pinnock says, good afternoon, Dervan. Good afternoon, Colette Pinnock. Good to have you on board Both Sides of the Story here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Donovan Campbell, we see you. Good day to you too. Thank you very much for tuning in. There are some messages we've been missing on our text line. Let's see if we can clear them right now. So this one came in today. It says, greetings, Mr. Malcolm. Genius at Patty Hill here. What about Griffiths? What about Griffiths? Griffiths. Help us there, please. Genius at Patty Hill. Good afternoon to you. Tell us which Griffith. Oh, you mean, oh yes, Griffiths. Well, there's a difference there because We don't say Griffiths. We say Griffiths, 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 Griffiths. Yeah, well, you know how it is in the English language. Today it's schedule and tomorrow it's school. You get the point. But it's English, and if you're going to speak English, then you'll have to deal with these nuances. That's just a fact of life. But it's not the end of the world. Gian in Shantamy, Portland says, "Good afternoon, teacher. Can you please give me an update on the Champions League match with Real Madrid and Chelsea?" You must be well out of the reach of technology, Gian in Shantamy, Portland, to have made such a request. Let's see if we can fulfill that request. So far in Europa action, Sabitzer gives Man United lead against Sevilla. So that's the latest, it seems. Yeah, that looks like the latest. Checking on BBC right now. The BBC app. Right, so that's what is current on the BBC Sports page. Europa action. Sabitzer gives Man United lead against Sevilla. Right, so hope you got that. Gian in Shantamy, Portland. All the best. Viziniri in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland. And it's been a while since we last heard from Viziniri. He says, "Miss Minette, Christ, the Son of God cannot die. Jesus, Son of Man, did." That's Viziniri's contribution this afternoon. This one says, this is from Venus. Venus says, "Hi, Dervan, a bit early yet, nonetheless. Again, for years, I have been asking our government to invest in Hawkeye helicopters. Start off with 3. 1 for Up Park Camp, 1 for Mandeville Camp, and another for Montego Camp. These helicopters are fast as we watch them in the United States hovering over criminal cars trying to get away. Cars on the ground while helicopter keeping an eye to take them down. Mr. Holness and Dr. Chang, we need these helicopters. Thanks, listeners." I thought, didn't we purchase Go Fast boats and special aircraft for surveillance purposes, or those are still being retrofitted? Sure, there was some announcement several years ago. Who is this advertising work now? I've never seen, in my short time on this earth, as I've said before on this program, I've never seen a more vocal, graphic, in-your-face series of advertising job openings. Clearly, there are a lot of job openings here in Jamaica. We saw a sign up to this afternoon. There was a sign at this business place. What did it say? "We are hiring." And then they listed 2 positions, clerk and what was the other one? Supervisor or something like that. The other thing we traveled across the corporate area, we note that the United States Embassy is back to normal. All right, don't all go rushing there now. The point I'm making is it's the first in a long time that I'm seeing, and I don't happen to pass the area very often. So at this morning when I saw that, it took me back to those early days when you had to stand in the sun. But there were so many people standing outside waiting to submit their documents for visa and related matters. And then you had another set standing some distance away, maybe because it wasn't their time yet in terms of the schedule for interview, etc. And then as I came down Constant Spring Road and looked across to the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA office. Well, that one I've seen before. They're usually quite busy. So clearly, Jamaicans are not going to stop traveling anytime soon. I mean, people in general, but Jamaicans in particular. We're going for the visas, we're going for the green cards and all the other citizenship and so on and so forth. And we will continue to keep Jamaica in mind and in sight. And we'll continue to visit Jamaica long after we would have become citizens of America, etc. It's just, there's something about a tradition. And there's a saying that says, uh, change is the only constant, or words to that effect. So that's what's happening. The embassy is as busy as ever. The Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency as ever. Construction workers are as busy as ever. And it's just what we have seen over time. But as we said, we hadn't seen the turnout at the U.S. Embassy like the way we saw it this morning. I hadn't seen that in a long time. It may be because I'm not traveling in that vicinity every single day. But we hope those who turned up were able to secure a visa in accordance, assuming their application is in line with the desired documentation of the embassy. So that's that. And right, so one of the signs that we're seeing now that was sent to us on WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, the text line. I think this was sent out by which phone is this now? This was sent out via Digicel. So it says, work as a sales agent. Interview at Digicel headquarters, 14 Ocean Boulevard, downtown Kingston, on Saturday, April 8. Ouch, that went. Sorry. That was a teachable moment. There's no such thing as 12 p.m. Just remember that. No such thing as 12 p.m. You're either going to say midday, noon, or you can say 12 noon, but not 12 p.m. It shouldn't be said or written. It's noon or midday, or for emphasis, 12 noon or midday, but never ever 12 p.m. Because at midday is just what it says. It's midday. So you don't apply the p.m. until the clock strikes 12:01. Once it gets to 12:01, you can put p.m. after that time. The hour hand and the minute hand. When both those hands are up there, it is midday. It is noon. It is 12 midday or 12 noon. Any one of those are fine. But you don't start saying p.m. until a minute past midday. Then you can apply p.m. Also, Digicel for that job ad, they were saying minimum 3 CXCs, bring ID, TRN, NIS, and qualifications. Good time for those of us who don't have that kind of documentation to get it together. Right, so we did that. Who is this now? Louis in Orlando, Florida. That was on the weekend that message came in. Richard was saying go to Old Harbor, Linstead, Maypen, Rest, Spanish Town. All right, not sure what that is about, but thank you for your messages. Let's move right along. Have we read all of them? Let's see. Have we gone through all the messages? No, this one. Oh, we read this one as well. Mr. Malcolm, please pronounce these words for me, sir. Still genius, right? Genius. What's this? I'm not sure what you're getting at here. LIVE depends on the context, depends on how you're using it. It's either live or live. Live or live. That's it. Oh, look at the time. I think we've been so engrossed that we lost track of the time. Just a moment, please. Let's take the break and come back.
Listen to FM. The time is now
2:33 on Power 106.
Treat yourself to famous
Good
Jamaican jerk
afternoon. Thanks
dishes
for
at
calling.
Sweetwood
One
Jerk
moment,
Joint.
please.
Succulent
Thanks for
pork,
holding.
chicken served with mouth-watering side orders. Sweetwood Jerk Joint, open every day. Call 876-906-4854 or come to 78 Knoxville Boulevard in Kingston in a secured environment. Across from Emancipation Park, all COVID-19 protocols observed. Sweetwood Jerk Joint, the home of Jamaican jerk. What is independence? At Hyper, we believe real independence means self-sufficiency, sustainability. It means developing the capacity to grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Let's move on as we continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. And let's see what we have here. Lots of people to say hi to at home and abroad. Let's go to Sharon Richards in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland. It says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm, and all listeners out there. I greet you well on this beautiful day. Let's give thanks for life. Have a blessed day, says Sharon Richards. Mike Montgomery from Belle Plaine in Clarendon is greeting us as well. Let's see what he is saying. He says, good afternoon, teacher, to you, your listeners. Keep safe, teacher. Thank you, Mike Montgomery from Belle Plaine in Clarendon. Cherry Henry says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan and listeners. Have a blessed day. Hubert Fowlin says, a very pleasant afternoon. To you too, Hubert Fowlin. Junior Jabari says, good afternoon, everyone. And some are doing it the nefarious way by going to Mexico via the Panama route. Well, the law must continue to take its course. As the great Robert Nesta Marley would say, I don't care who the guy is. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. That's essentially the point he's making. So Junior Jabari says, Dervan, I always say English is not as easy as it seems. Well, so it is. And Jacqueline Simmons says, good afternoon, blessings to you too, Jacqueline Simmons. Thank you. Thank you very much for your message, and keep those messages coming in here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Now, let's make a connection now. We're going to the year, let's go to the year 1598. And you would think, where are we going now? 1598. Look how far away that's a long time ago, 1598. All right, why are we talking about 1598 in 2023? All right, stay with us for a moment. Let's tell you. The Edict of Nantes, E-D-I-C-T, of Nantes, Nantes, was declared by Henry IV of France on this day in 1598. The Edict of Nantes granted the Calvinist Protestants of France, also known as Huguenots, Huguenots, the T there is silent because it's French, Huguenots. So there were also the Calvinist Protestants of France were also known as Huguenots. It's been anglicized to some extent, and people just simply say Huguenots. So you can choose whether to say Huguenot or Huguenots. Right. So the Edict of Nantes granted the Calvinist Protestants of France, also known as Huguenots, the English pronunciation, substantial rights. It granted them substantial rights. These Huguenots or Huguenots were Protestants. The Protestants were opposed to some fundamental aspects of Catholic theology, and France, being a largely Catholic nation, saw thousands of these Huguenots or Huguenots, otherwise known as Protestants, being killed during the period of religious intolerance, most notably on August 24, 1572, which became known as St. Bartholomew's Day. But with the declaration of the Edict of Nantes on this day in 1598, Huguenots or Huguenots were allowed to live in relative peace and to enjoy freedom of worship. This Edict of Nantes was later repealed in 1685. Nantes is a place name in France, Nantes. This Edict of Nantes was later repealed in 1685 by Louis XIV. As a result, some 200,000 Huguenots or Huguenots or Protestants fled to other places in Europe and to America. Why are we telling you this? Where are we going with this? Well, you know, Jamaica has to be in everything. Some of those 200,000 Huguenots or Protestants ended up right here in Jamaica. One moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45.
Tune in every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. for Your Legal Corner with Daily Walker Huntington during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM. It's your source of information regarding U.S. immigration matters, combined with Power 106 FM's pioneer of diaspora broadcasting. Call in with your U.S. immigration queries and concerns on 876-9224-11225 or send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598 and get the answers you need for your U.S. immigration questions. That's Your Legal Corner with Daily Walker Huntington, Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. during both sides of the story with Dervan Malcolm, only on Power 106 FM.
Know we've come a long way. We're changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? Where do they play? We've been building roads way back in the past, and they disintegrate. Lord, that had happened so fast. Cars fall apart, but you don't care. And the people complain, and the whole state there. Whoa.
Right. We were saying before the break that some 200, the Edict of Nantes was later repealed in 1685 by Louis XIV. As a result, some 200,000 Huguenots or Huguenots or Protestants fled to other places in Europe and to America. And why have we shared this information with you? Because some of them ended up right here in Jamaica. Of these, Martin Rousse or Roussy, Martin Roussy ended up in Lucy. Martin and his brother John were on their way to settle in a French West Indian island. Martin became ill and the brothers were put ashore in Lucy. Martin was nursed back to health by missionaries aided by slaves. He settled in Lucy and became prosperous. He never married. Martin Rousset died leaving all his real and personal estate for the establishment of a free school in the parish of Hanover. According to his will, dated July 23, 1764, he did this in grateful remembrance of the hospitality shown him during his residence in the colony. Martin Roussy left about £4,500 for the establishment of a free school, which we have come to know as Rossi's High School in Lucy, Hanover. Rossi's was established in 1777. That's a year after America gained independence on the 4th of July, 1776. Rossi's was established in 1777. And let's give you a bit more here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. We see some others have joined us as well. Good to have you on board. Jacqueline Simmons. Natalie Winter says, have a wonderful day. Blessings from Washington Gardens. Enjoying the discourse, all listening worldwide. Love every time. All the best, Natalie. Take care. And Bishop Paul Mays says, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Bishop Paul Mays. Good to have you on board. Thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Oops. We have to go to the phone lines, but in particular, the text line, same as the WhatsApp number. Sorry about that. Should have gone to the caller long before that. He is in Florida. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm okay. I enjoy the teaching still, like you teach me something, but I want to ask this question. You said for Thomas, I noticed those two words they use, Thomas and Anthony. The H is silent, that means it don't must use. Okay?
Yes.
So the person or persons who invent those words, why they have them in the spelling when it is not a must?
Such is the nature of the English language. Like any other language in the world, let's give you an easy one. Let's see. Easy one. Let's say, for example, in French, for example, there might be, for argument's sake, B-O-N-E-T. Now, on the face of it, you would perhaps say bonnet, B-O-N-E-T or B-O-N-N-E-T. But just for argument's sake, we're creating that. And it ends with the letter T. So whoever came up with that name, or however that name emerged, whatever the etymology of that word, that is what, whoever created it at the time, that's what it was and still is. That you don't pronounce the T. You say bonnet versus bonnet. So if you're asking why, well, it's just one of those things, one of those peculiarities. The language is loaded with peculiarities.
Okay, because my middle name is Anthony. You said the H don't must use. And I always say Anthony, so it says Anthony.
Yes, the correct pronunciation is Anthony, unless you have determined on your own that you want your name to be pronounced Anthony. That's a different thing.
Okay. All right. What about this one here? I go look for your friend one time and she have a little son there and she said, and the son said to her, I said, Mommy, the landlord leave a notice on the door. So she started laughing and I said, what that mean? She said, I noticed the man leave on the door, but I saw him call it.
That's how the little boy pronounced it. Her son, you said?
She said, notice.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're learning. You say all kinds of things and you pronounce according to your level of understanding. Let's remember this. A man, and I'm using man in the generic way, a man can only understand according to his level of understanding. That's just a fact of life. You didn't hear what I said. I said.
All right, on a serious note now, you said the embassy there, first you see the lines so heavy.
First in a long time.
So, and I hear something come in the news this morning with Mexico and Panama. Now, we understand people try to look a better way of life, but I think so the foreign affairs people, they don't talk to them because them say over 2,000 people them stop from entering Panama. So, as I understand it, they might use Panama to go to Mexico to come across the United States.
So we gather.
So what the Minister of Foreign Affairs doing toward that?
Well, it can do so much and no more. If people want to subject themselves to that kind of adventure, for want of a more serious term, then it's up to them. It's their choice. They as long as they are prepared mentally and otherwise for the consequences that flow from that. Otherwise, they'll just perhaps fade away.
All right, next one. I think somebody mentioned, he was reading something where somebody mentioned about the helicopter there and said that some time ago you hear about the Go Fast boat. But what about those boats? Because sometimes they run something in the news and you never hear about it again. What happened to those Go Fast boats to track down people that see giving problem?
Well, I'm not on the high seas or even the just the general coastline in Jamaica to be able to spot these vessels and to count them and tell you whether or not they're still up and running. I'm not in any position to do that.
But they should give some like when them buy those things and then I'm gonna put them in operation, they should put some little thing on the news and show them operate and show that them have in place. Because I think some time ago they said them going to get some new police car with computer and all those things. Not to know nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah, we're still waiting.
Yeah, but how much longer can we wait?
That's a good question.
It's a good question at one, but I'm asking the right person.
You're wrong. This is not the right person.
So,
you're the
so
wrong
the
person.
authority then, such as the ministers and also, they just give you some nice speech and that's it.
Well, this is why we have to follow up in the newsrooms of this country. We have to follow up. Those of us who are journalists must follow up and keep a collection of the stories, the issues, the areas that, but in particular the stories that are in need of for want of a more sophisticated term, close protection. In other words, there's a particular thing that's going to be happening on a particular date, or there's something that happened on a particular date, and you don't want to lose track of that particular initiative, plan, policy, etc. And so you follow it up. We don't do very well in that arena here in Jamaica, but that's what we need to do more of, and hold the feet of our public servants and political representatives to the fire. That we have to do that. So when somebody talking, oh, and we did this and we're going, there must be journalists who will say, hold on, Mr. So-and-so. The information we have is that you only visited that area once, based on that kind of thing. You have to call them out so that they know that they are being watched. Muta Baruka did a dub piece some time ago with the words, me no way up to big man, me no way up to. Me no way up to, no way up to, no way up to. So there are those of us who are quietly observing, and we notice, when we notice a trend developing, then we draw a little closer, waiting to pounce, to say, aha, I thought you said you didn't indulge in that kind of behavior or activity. What is this? You see, if we don't do that, then things will just go on for a while and it will be out there, and then it just dies a natural death. And people say, what did happen to so-and-so again? And nobody even remembers. And it's the end of that story. But that's why the fourth estate is so important. And the media, and that word is in its plural form, media, but it has come to be accepted there are those who talk about mediums, but media. So the media are called or are referred to as the fourth estate. It's a key pillar. It's a key pillar of our democracy. Key pillar, the fourth estate. And no politician, prime minister, president, or whomever should ever think they can cow down people because of their position. As long as you're standing on solid ground and working in the best interest of Jamaica and Jamaicans, press along, as the song says. Press along, saints, press along. Yes.
Probably the journalists are also, they scale a lawsuit, so they don't pressure them.
No, man. There's a quotation, one of the many I have over my desk at home, which essentially says, the truth is not libelous. The truth is not libelous. We have to go to a break. Are you finished or you have more?
I have more, man. I listen long today now, so I'll wait until I come back.
Hold on, please.
Contractors, developers, and small builders. Contact Coast to Coast Group of Companies for high-quality concrete products. The time by Coast to Coast Group of Companies is
3 o'clock. Source One Feeds and Agricultural Supplies, your one-stop shop for feed and farm supplies, wholesalers, retailers of Nutrimix feeds, baby chicks, fungicides, insecticides, herbicides, seeds, fertilizers, home and garden supplies, and more. Visit them today at 2 Queen Street, Savannah, Lamar. Source One Feeds and Agricultural Supplies, where the customer is always number one. Call 876-955-2485. All you need in farm supplies, including farm equipment, is at Diversity Farm and Garden Supplies. They provide advice to farmers on best practices and pride themselves in offering competitive prices. Open 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Saturday from 3 locations, Main Street in Otter Bay and 2 locations in Buff Bay, Portland. Diversity Farm and Garden Supplies. Call 504-4327 or 541-4852. They also deliver.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. Thanks for holding. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the president for the Teachers Association this morning on the news saying from last month coming to this month, some teachers don't get paid.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. Really very sad.
Yeah, but you should have a set of journalists who would ride on the back of the minister until the problem is solved. So next time when someone come up, him scared to run himself in problem. But we have a tendency when something come up on the news, less than a week, it go on the back burner and we don't hear about it again. And I think that is part of the problem.
Yep.
Now I hear the top man saying that
who's the top man?
Who's
the top man?
Prime Minister.
Oh.
Prime Minister.
Okay.
When you are head of an organization or run a country, so that's what they call you on the street, the top man.
I hear you.
And him said they must not turn them back on him or the JLP coming up in the next election. But if you now perform up to expectation, what do you expect at the poll?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. The judgment will always be in the purview of the people. The people, the voters will always decide. Even if they don't vote, they'll tell you that that's their decision.
Yeah, but when you see him start getting nervous, the expectation is high at the poll, what to expect it?
Well, he said he was nervous, or you are gleaning from what he said.
From what he's saying,
that his.
That tells him I get nervous.
I see. Well, that's a good thing. When politicians are getting nervous, it means the populace, the people who actually have the power in their hands. It would mean that the people are holding his feet to the fire, and he's feeling not the pinch but the burn.
So him plan to run away there on the burn. Right at the burn.
You could call him and ask him.
Anyhow, but the problem I have is we only have two choices. If we switch from him to the other man, and the other man will do the same thing, we'll come back to him. So we need a third part in the middle. So would have the two of them perform more better when them get a chance?
I hear you.
Guys, the problem is, they well know that if one side are joking, he eventually come back to them.
Yeah, well,
So
this is it. There are instances when invariably one has to choose, and in a bipolar, can I use that term? In a bipolar society, where it's the tale of two cities, or the tale of two sides, or the tale of two leaders. What does Dr. Gale call it? He calls it binary, talking binary or thinking binary. Uh, when that is your environment, then it's a matter of who's the flavor of the day, quite frankly. Who is the flavor of the day? And if the right side is the flavor of the day, well, you just go with the right side. If the left side is the flavor of the day, you go with the left. But there's no place where outside of surveys, where the position of those who go neither left nor right, as to where they end up in the scheme of things.
Jamaica people make up their minds and say we're going to give a third party a chance.
Good luck with that one. We've had about 34. Is it last? I read that some years ago. We've had about 33. Is it 32 or 34 third parties over the years, and they've all gone the same way. They come up and then they go down.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, give them a chance to be the government and run the system. So if they fail, we can say, all right. But if you don't do that, all we wind up with be cat and mouse with the jail pen and PMB.
And that is likely to continue for some time to come.
It look like the rest of our life, guys.
There you go. You said it.
Hello?
You said it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because family could be that some seat ago and they don't sit back, relax, and say, all right, let's give them some time because we eventually get in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we shall see what we shall see. Assuming we get there. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Take care. All the best. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Bishop Paul Mays says the police have computer, so when they put in your license plate, it tells you everything about the vehicle. Well, that's the technology. If it's available, use it. Asher Ash says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. Just tuning in from London, UK. Welcome, Asher Ash in London, UK. Karen Rowe says, hello, Mr. Malcolm and listeners. Hello to you too, Karen Rowe. She says, a very warm and sunny day here in my hometown. Good for you. Good for you, Karen Rowe. Enjoy and all the very best. Faye Weller says, blessed afternoon, Mr. Dervan and faithful listeners. God bless us all. I think it's time for us to go through some of these WhatsApp messages now. We haven't touched WhatsApp in a while. Let's do WhatsApp. Let's see what's up on WhatsApp. Miss June in Norway, listening as usual, I'm sure. Good day to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Here's a message from Salah, who says, blessings, Dervan. Dervan, why was Patrick Bailey disbarred from practice in Jamaica? Because there is a set of principles and practices that must be followed to the T, as they say. And when you fail to follow, you have to deal with the consequences. It's just a fact of life. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with what you're referring to based on the timeline. It doesn't have anything. Remember, one thing following another is not necessarily an indication that one caused the other. Just remember that. We tend as human beings to make connections connections of convenience or otherwise. But one thing following another is not necessarily an indication that one caused the other. And another thread of message, Dervan, 1999, when the PNP was to build that parliamentary building, it was rejected by the JLP. It was to cost us 700,000. Now the JLP is going to build a parliament, going to cost us 60 billion. Really? That's the figure? I have no way of verifying that figure right now, but we hear you. Salah from Kingston. This message actually came in yesterday. Thank you very much for your message and all the very best. This one says, AI taking over BPO next. AI, listeners, if you're unfamiliar with the term or the abbreviation AI, it's what is called artificial intelligence. So that's where man, with all kinds of techniques and technologies at his disposal, tries his best to mimic the very man himself. And so to put words in this man's mouth and to have the limbs moving in a particular order and delivering items and checking in people. In Japan, you have robots checking in people. Just like when you go to a hotel and you're being checked in. Yes, you have robots doing that in Japan. So all of that is AI, artificial intelligence. And this person who sent us the message is saying, NYPD rolls out SnitchBot, SNITCHB, capital BOT, to patrol city subways, monitor criminals. So in other words, these are not people. These are pieces of technology, technological representations of resources that can police or otherwise provide a level of protection for certain areas and certain people. All right, hope you got that. And let's go to another message. Let's see. Oh, there's something happening. All right, a message just popped up. Okay. All right, we need to make a note of that. Thank you very much, Off Air, for that message. Good afternoon to Dr. Sharon Wiles. She's as busy as a bee, and we wish her well. Tony Kelly, hello to you too. Are you in the UK or somewhere in the region? Tony Kelly is a busy man. We have been asked, and please forgive us, for emphasis, and just so the word gets out, one of our clients, Community Meds Pharmacy, is at Lot 5, Congreve Park, Hellshire Main Road in Portmore, and they want everybody to know that they're open every day, including all holidays, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So once again, our sponsors asking us to just, for emphasis, put this information out there. Community Meds Pharmacy, longtime sponsors, Community Meds Pharmacy. They're at Lot 5, Congreve Park, Hellshire Main Road in Portmore, St. Catherine. And they want everybody to know that they're open every single day, including holidays, all holidays. That's the information we're seeing, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 12 hours. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Community Meds Pharmacy, Lot 5, Congreve Park, Helsha Main Road in Portmore, St. Catherine. They're open every day, including all holidays, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We hope they heard. Let's go to... we missed a call, did we? I'm sorry about that. Maybe somebody wanting to get in touch with us here on the program. Inez Ayona Campbell, good afternoon to you. Welcome aboard. Always good to have you on board. Always good to see you online. Thank you for joining us. And all the very best as we continue to go through. Oh, there are so many messages here, not all related to the program. Let's see. And let's go up to another of the messages we're trying to respond at the same time to. So bear with us as we go through and see what our listeners are saying. This one says, ticket, Dervan, good afternoon. Marie from New York. Dervan, the passaging, one moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15. Jamaica Talk Tax question and answer segment. It is property time, and we have the property tax guru with us today to answer frequently asked questions about property tax. Our guest today is Stephanie Smith, compliance manager. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we know that this is a time when property tax becomes due, and so persons want to know, Stephanie, who pays the property tax?
Property tax is a charge levied on all persons in possession of properties. The Property Tax Act clearly defined who are such persons. Those could be the owners, the occupiers, the mortgagees in possession, and other persons that are in actual possession of properties.
Okay. So tell me, Stephanie, when does property tax payment become due?
Property tax payment is due on the 1st of April each year.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be paid annually, biannually, or quarterly.
Okay.
For annual payments, you can pay everything in the month of April. For biannually, you pay the first half in April and the second half the 1st of October. And for the quarterly payments, the first payment in April, the second payment July 1, the third payment October 1, and the final payment the 1st of January.
Oh, so it's not as if you have to pay everything at once.
No, but it must be noted that payments received after the month of April are considered late and as such will be charged a 10% penalty.
Wow. So it's best then to pay between the 1st and the 30th of April.
Yes.
But tell me now, Stephanie, what if the 1st of April falls on the weekend?
Well, if the 1st of April falls on the weekend, we have an online portal that persons can go and pay.
Nice.
And for those who have not been using the online portal, they have the entire month of April to make their first payment.
Well done to you, Jay. Well done. We know that government needs to recover, unpaid property taxes. What are some of the actions that the government will take to recover these unpaid taxes?
Okay. When the taxpayer receives an assessment notice, it is expected that the taxpayer will voluntarily come in and pay his taxes. However, if this is not done, the compliance officers would have served the tax debtor with a reminder letter. The reminder letter, however, is that informing him to pay the sum within 15 days of receipt. If the taxpayer still does not comply, then the compliance officer should do an assessment of the taxpayer's ability to pay. When the compliance officer does an ability to pay, there are 4 outcomes.
Talk to me about the outcomes.
First, the taxpayer can pay but is reluctant. In that case, we'll serve them a summons or we can garnish their income. Secondly, the taxpayer can pay in parts, can't pay it all at once. We will facilitate a payment agreement.
Okay.
And if the taxpayer cannot pay the full amount of tax, they are having difficulty, their income is a bit low,
Right.
then for those taxpayers, we will recommend to apply for the relief, discretionary relief from the Minister of Finance. And we have some that cannot pay any at all.
Yeah, what
It's
about
bad.
those?
For those, we can recommend for write-off.
Oh, good. Yeah, you can do that.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a write-off committee.
So you have property owners that are exempt from paying property taxes?
Yes. There are certain categories of properties that are exempted from paying property tax. We have building used solely for religious worship. We have churchyard. We have the rectory and the burial grounds are exempt from educational institutions and properties owned for education.
Really?
All government lands, collection of lands, all parish council owned properties are also exempted. We have charitable organizations, our cultural, they also are exempted, but it has to be approved by the Minister of Finance and used solely for the purpose. Also, hospitals are also exempted.
Okay. And we know that there are laws that relate to property tax. So talk to me about some of those laws.
There are 4 acts that govern property tax. The Property Tax Act, the Tax Collection Act, the Land Valuation Act, and the Land Taxation Relief Act.
Okay, so listeners, if you want to get more information on those acts, you can visit our website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. So Stephanie, this was an interesting conversation, but we're out of time. So we continue next time with additional questions. Thank you, our listeners, for tuning in to Make We Talk Tax. For further queries, contact our customer care center at 888-TAX-HELP. That is 888-829-4357. Or visit our website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. Tax Administration Jamaica, changing the way we do business by working together to serve you even better.
Your taxes hold the key.
Property owners, let's get digital. Property taxes for 2023-24 are due April 1. Payments can be made by April 30 in full, half-yearly or quarterly installments. Pay using these options. Online at jamaicatax.gov.jm. The TA Mobile Tax Collection Unit, NCB Online Banking and Scotia Online and Mobile App. Call 888-TAX-HELP. That's 888-829-4357. Or visit jamaicatax.gov.jm for details.
CASE is on the move. The College of Agriculture, Science and Education in Portland is talking next level agriculture. How? Enter the drone, more efficient spraying, seeding, fertilizing, crop and animal surveillance. Yes, they still train teachers, agronomists, hotel managers, plant doctors, vets, and now the drone pilot. Come fly with CASE, 876-993-54368, online at case.edu.jm. CASE, creating opportunities for growth. Join Alfie Mackenzie during Farm Talk every second Tuesday of each month at 6:18 a.m. for a special feature that provides useful information on the Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA, and the role they play in Jamaica's agricultural sector. This feature is brought to you by the Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA, 1 Willie Henry Drive, Kingston. That's the JACRA special feature every second Tuesday at 6:18 a.m. during Farm Talk with Alfie Mackenzie, right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well. That number is 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. Here we go again. Another multi-million dollar fraud. The Jamaica-Gleaner.com website is reporting multi-million dollar fraud uncovered at Seprod. Multi-million dollar fraud uncovered at Seprod. 17 employees in custody. 17 employees of Seprod Group are now in police custody in connection with a multi-million dollar fraud case. 13 other employees who are wanted in connection with the case are on the run and are being sought by investigators. So it's another case of another multi-million dollar fraud uncovered at Seprod. 17 employees in custody in connection with this multi-million dollar fraud case. 13 other employees are wanted in connection with the case and are on the run. They're being sought by investigators. Oh dear, what a thing. All right, let's see. Some more information here. Trinidadians plead guilty in U.S. to role in Caribbean gun trafficking ring. Trinidadians plead guilty in U.S. to their role in the Caribbean gun trafficking ring. What a thing. 2 Trinidadians were among 3 men who admitted to their roles in a Caribbean arms trafficking ring. A statement issued today, Thursday, by United States Attorney for the Middle District of Florida, Roger B. Handberg, disclosed that Jamil Kaya Phillip and Tevin O'Brien Oliver, both 30, and Edward Solomon King III, 31, of Tampa, Florida, pleaded guilty to federal charges. Oliver, who lived in Homestead, Florida, and Phillip pleaded guilty to conspiracy to smuggle goods from the U.S. and each face a maximum penalty of 5 years in federal prison. King, who pleaded guilty to disposing of a firearm to an alien who had been admitted to the U.S. under a non-immigrant visa, faces up to 15 years in federal prison. The 3 also agreed to forfeit various firearms, ammunition, and related items which facilitated their crimes. Serious business. Oh dear. Can we say good afternoon and welcome to some more of our listeners who have joined us. Hello to Carter George, saying please press the like button. Thanks. And Sean Chambers saying good afternoon, Uncle Dervan. Sorry I'm late for your show because I was busy. Busy is good, Sean. As long as you're busy, that's fine. Busy is good. Herman Hyatt says, wow. I'm not sure what the wow is associated with or what necessitated that exclamation of wow, but Herman Hyatt can tell us. Sean Chambers says, this is serious. This is so terrible. Herman Hyatt says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. To you too, Herman Hyatt. Dwight Spence says, blessings to all just joining. Everybody frauding now. Disgraceful. As a former employee, I'm outraged, says Dwight Spence. Herman Hyatt says, people can't work for their honest bread. I'm sure you meant bread, right? SMH. Shake my head. Most unfortunate. Yes, we know that's what you're referring to, Herman Hyatt. The stealing at Seprod. Oh, no, we didn't recognize it at first, but we have since come to understand that that's what you have been commenting. Yes, it's a sad state of affairs. That, my late mother used to say, don't trouble people things. Don't ready eye for people things. My mother used to say that. Don't ready eye for people things. Don't trouble people things. Serious business. Joan Edgehill says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. To you too, Joan Edgehill. Junior Jabari says, it has been 1 year since the state visit of Rwanda's president, His Excellency Paul Kagame. 1 year since he visited Jamaica. I tell you what, well, let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:30.
Farmers, you spoke, we listened. Caribbean Chemicals Jamaica is filling your need for drought-tolerant, high-yielding, certified seeds from No New and Namdari. Our crop care guys help you achieve early maturity, maximum yield, and minimum pests and diseases. Call us at 876-757-0022. Like and follow us at Carib Jam or WhatsApp 876-401-4766 for more information. No New and Namdari seeds available at farm stores island-wide. Ask for it. NIS pensioners, early encashment continues. All pension order vouchers with a payable date in April 2023 may be encashed as of Thursday, April 13. Collect your April payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Please note, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Welcome to your Legal Corner on Power 106 FM, your source of information for all matters regarding U.S. immigration. Call in with your questions and concerns on 876-922-41125. You can send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598. Time now for your Legal Corner during both sides of the story, right here on Power 106 FM.
Indeed, it is a Thursday afternoon just after 3:30, and it means it's time for your Legal Corner with U.S. Immigration Attorney Delia Walker Huntington. Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dervan. How are you doing today?
I am fine, thanks. Good to talk with you. Good to have you on board as usual. Looking forward to learning more on U.S. immigration matters.
Yes, Dervan. I'm a little, what did you say, discombobulated today. As most people, your listeners, and you know that I live in Broward County, Florida, in city of Miramar to be specific. Mm-hmm. But Broward County, Florida is home to thousands of Jamaicans across the county, from Miramar, Pembroke Pines, Plantation, Hollywood, Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lake, Sunrise, you name it. There are Jamaicans all across the length and breadth of the county. And we have experienced what they're calling a once-in-a-thousand-year flood yesterday that has left many persons with damage to their homes and to their cars. What happened was somewhat unexpected. Everybody went to work and school yesterday. It wasn't like it was a tropical system with a name that we were under tropical storm watch or anything like that. We expected rain, but we did not expect as much rain as came down in a short period of time. The Fort Lauderdale airport remains closed for over 24 hours. They're expecting to reopen tomorrow morning. They received 26 inches of rain within 8 hours. And so the water has nowhere to go. So many places are still flooded. It's receding slowly. And, on the news reports, you can see Jamaicans being interviewed because their homes have been damaged. Yesterday, leaving my office, I almost got stuck in water, and a Jamaican man was ahead of me, and he told me to back up and go another way. to get out of the parking garage. So his car was disabled by the water, and he was out in knee-deep water. So it's really been a crazy time, and we're experiencing it. It's raining right now as I'm talking to you in Miramar, and they expect to have rain again in the areas of Fort Lauderdale and on the east side, in particular, that has received most of the damage. So most of the damage is on the east side, close to I-95 in that area, going up from probably about Aventura up to Davie and beyond in Fort Lauderdale. So
I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't realize what I mean. I got no hint at all yesterday that something this serious was happening.
Yeah, we just sort of sat through work and school in the rain until it was time to leave at 5 o'clock, and people realized that the roads were passable. People, I mean, they've likened it to Katrina, because people have had to be rescued from their homes. The water, the streets are flooded, the water is coming in, and so when I say I'm discombobulated, I am, because it was just completely unexpected, and the rain is coming down again, and I just feel my heart goes out to those people who are realizing that their house is flooded, and the rain is falling again. People have had to just leave abandoned cars on the streets all over Broward County, because the car shut off in the water. And of course, the tow trucks just can't manage the number of calls that they're getting to come and remove the cars. So streets were blocked. Even though it wasn't raining this morning, it was hard to move around because the cars were left abandoned in certain areas in the middle of the street.
So how much, what's the situation now? It's still raining, you said, I think.
Yeah, it started this morning. For the most part, there was no rain and it was sunny, but they did say about 3 o'clock, because we're an hour ahead of you.
Yeah.
So now it's 4:36 here, and the rain, the entire Broward County, from my vantage point and also from the media reports, is getting dark. It's getting to that point where we are having rain again. I don't know how much rain is falling in those areas where it's already flooded. The water just has not receded. It has nowhere to go. The airport is closed. Fort Lauderdale Airport is closed, has been closed for over 24 hours, and they're hoping that they can reopen by 5 a.m. tomorrow, but they don't know. Schools are closed today as well, and we don't know if schools will be reopened tomorrow, because the school board officials have not been able to visit all of the schools because some of the roads are still impassable. So it's really an unusual situation that we find ourselves in, and my heart just goes out. So asking our brethren on the rock and all around to pray for your Jamaican brothers and sisters and everybody in Broward County who are experiencing the effects of this weather system. It's not a storm, it's not a named storm, it's a weather system that's produced this much rain in such a short period of time.
Yes. I see Herman Hyatt on YouTube saying, "Hope no loss of lives."
No, so far have not heard of any loss of life, but which is a good thing. But a lot of people have lost everything. Some elderly people who live alone, they're not very mobile. They can't just pick up and run. And really, when your street is flooded, cars are floating by, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Just try to get to higher ground within the house. We've heard stories of people going into their attics, climbing on top of the kitchen counter, trying to avoid the water. So it's really been a devastating situation. We have not experienced anything like this county-wide in Broward County, not even from some of the storms. We've had storm warnings where we've battened down and we've not had this much rain at all in the county. So it's really... It's shaken everybody up, really shaken us up.
Really sorry to hear, but we trust that
Yes,
uh,
thank you.
everybody will work together to get as
Yes,
close to restoration or some sense of normalcy
yes,
sooner
we're
than later.
hoping for federal disaster. I mean, the state just a short while ago declared a state of emergency. The various cities have declared state of emergency, but they're going to need some federal help to get funds to people, especially those who are renters who don't have any insurance. And in Florida, most people don't have flood insurance. So you have insurance for the structure if there's a wind event, if there's a hurricane, but if there's flood that comes in, you have to have a special flood insurance in order to cover your losses. So it's going to definitely need some federal assistance to get people as close to whole as possible.
Any indication as to roughly or generally speaking the extent of the damage in terms of reach and numbers?
No, don't know. It seems to be certain areas, mostly on the east side. So I live very far west, almost to I-75, almost going back towards the west coast. So we, in this part of the county, did not have as much water as the other areas. I think we may have had about 4 inches. Places like Plantation, where my offices, had 14 inches of rain. And Dania Beach, which is on the east side again, had about 16 inches. So, but where the airport is, which is right just north of Dania Beach, it had 26 inches of rain in 8 hours. And so the perimeter along the airport is all flooded. Cars are abandoned. So they can't even bring in pumps to pump out the runway, the tarmac, because there's nowhere for the water to go. It's just, it's really an unbelievable situation. And I think the county leaders and the various city leaders were caught off guard, because we knew rain was coming, but certainly not to this extent where a system just sat over portions of the county for hours, and just the rain just came down. So I guess, they're trying to make their assessments, but again, some of the roads are still impassable. So I suspect over the next day or so, we'll start to get a financial number assessed to. There are also a couple of tornadoes that touched down in the middle of everything, damaged some trailer
a
homes,
tornado in the middle of the rain?
Yes. They confirmed 2 what they call EF0 tornadoes touched down and damaged some mobile homes over on the east side again. So it's bad.
Yes.
But when it's like a storm, a hurricane passed through. Only thing we didn't have was heavy winds. The day before, we had winds in excess of 30 miles an hour. But the wind did not accompany the rain, thankfully. And there was not much wind yesterday, but still gusts. There's still gusts of wind that take place in these cells of weather that pass through. So we are really in kind of shell shock. We were not expecting it, and it's been really harsh and hard to see other people being, losing everything and being under inches and inches of water in their house.
I guess it's true what they say, it never rains, but it pours. Oh,
exactly.
My goodness.
And it has been. And this is not even our rainy season. This is typically the dry season in South Florida. So when I say not prepared, I mean not prepared for it at all.
The message is quite clear. Well, or we commiserate with those in Florida who have been impacted.
Yes.
And we really trust that with everyone working together, things will, in due course, in short order, return to some level of normalcy. But we're encouraged by the news that there's no loss of lives. I see Herman saying, thank God. And Karen Rose says, praying for everyone affected. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. All right. So, Miss Dahlia, was it today? Who raised the subject today? Somebody was, but anyway, the subject was that the Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister here in Jamaica, Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson Smith, has been raising concern at the number of Jamaicans embarking on illegal entry to the U.S. through Mexico and Panama. How bad is it?
Well, I don't have any numbers, but we've been seeing stories in the media and hearing stories from other immigration attorneys as well.
I'm sorry, Miss Dahlia, one moment. Sorry to cut you so quickly, but didn't realize the time. Let's just take the time signal and come back.
For any project, ABC Electrical Sales has all your electrical supplies at the best prices. 8 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 754-3714. The time by ABC Electrical Sales is
3:45. All you need in farm supplies, including farm equipment, is at Diversity Farm and Garden Supplies. They provide advice to farmers on best practices and pride themselves in offering competitive prices. Open 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday to Saturday from 3 locations, Main Street in Otter Bay and 2 locations in Buff Bay, Portland. Diversity Farm and Garden Supplies. Call 504-4327 or 541-4852. They also deliver.
NIS Pensioners Early Encashment continues. All pension order vouchers with a payable date in April 2023 may be encashed as of Thursday, April 13. Collect your April payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Please note, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. You're listening to Your Legal Corner, your source of information on all matters regarding U.S. immigration. You can call in with your questions and concerns on 876-922-41125. You can send a text or WhatsApp message to 876-279-8598. Now, back to Your Legal Corner during both sides of the story on Power 106 FM.
Indeed, it is Your Legal Corner with U.S. Immigration Attorney Dahlia Walker Huntington as we continue to learn and to pretty much create a greater level of awareness for as far as U.S. immigration is concerned. So you were just about starting off your response to the question of how bad is the situation in terms of the concerns raised by Minister Johnson Smith at the number of Jamaicans embarking on illegal entry to the U.S. through Mexico and Panama.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a very hard number to determine, and we've spoken about this, Dervan, on the program about the increase in the number of Jamaicans who are now coming into the U.S. via the Mexican border. We know this because, unfortunately, I think it was last year, a beautiful child apparently died in a crossing, coming across the river with her mother and another sibling. And we've also seen newspaper reports of persons coming to the border and encountering people who they're actually fleeing from in Jamaica. And so, you have to look at like what's pushing, what's this new surge that's causing people to do this, because it's an extremely dangerous trip that requires you to literally walk for days through treacherous territory. I'm sure paying a smuggler to get to the border to try to cross into the United States. Now, some people are crossing in illegally. Some are presenting themselves and asking for asylum based on various criteria. But whatever the surge is, it's causing more people to come because we're hearing about it more often. It used to be a one-off over the 25 years that I've been practicing immigration. It would be a one-off story that you would hear. Now we're hearing about it more publicly and privately. So people are coming, and as an immigration lawyer, I have to strictly suggest to my people not to do this. But at the same time, I also understand the desperation that people are fleeing from, and I've met many desperate people in my decades of practice. And sometimes when they may come to me or any other immigration lawyer, and we tell them what the structure is for you to enter the US, and it's something that they cannot meet the criteria, and somebody else comes to them and offers them this golden parachute to get them in very reassuringly, and charge them to do it. Who am I to judge them other than to say, please don't do it because you're putting your life at risk? When you get to the United States, if you've entered the country illegally, your options to become legal are very, very limited, if at all. So it's a matter of looking long term. A lot of people, when they're desperate, they're looking at the short term. What can I gain in a week? Term projection, they're looking at their immediate need, and so I think that's what's causing the push. Now, when it comes to you and those persons entering, that would really have no bearing on legal with people who are coming to the border, let's say with a green card or you're a Jamaican American citizen. If you come to the border as a visitor or a non-immigrant, you're strictly scrutinized anyway, because when you come to the border with anything but a U.S. passport, you're asking that officer for permission to enter. So if you have a visa, a student visa, green card, you are not guaranteed to be allowed into the United States. So if your documents are not up to par, then you're putting what we call secondary inspection for you to have a greater conversation or a deeper conversation with the immigration, the customs and border protection officers. So in that regard, you are being strictly scrutinized anyway. But when you're going through a third country, then that third country, I think, has a bigger problem with the Jamaicans traveling than the U.S. with legal travel, because you're going to Belize, let's say. I read a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago where the Belizean Prime Minister said that they are now requiring additional documentation from persons coming in, Jamaicans coming into Belize, because the belief is that they're using Belize as a third country point to eventually get to the United States.
Oh dear. And in terms of, well, thank you very much for the wealth of information there that you shared just now. But the other area of interest has to do with the couple of things I saw today, but I'm going to come back to those. One of them being the most people I've ever seen at the U.S. Embassy in a while. I saw that today. And the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency is one of the busiest agencies. And I saw that today as well. So, but I just wanted to get in a question. This message, a couple of messages. It says, "Good afternoon, Ms. Huntington. My father has filed for me, but I am pregnant now. Will the child automatically be included, or do I have to go overseas to have the child?" This sounds familiar. I think I read this before. But there's another message which is close to this one as well that says, "Good afternoon, Ms. Huntington. My father has filed for me, but yes, it's the same message. I am pregnant now. Will the child automatically be included in the filing, or do I have to go overseas to have the child to ensure it is not left behind?"
Yeah. So you want me to answer anyway?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So when a father filing for their daughter, the daughter is a direct beneficiary. Any child that the daughter has becomes a derivative beneficiary. And as long as that derivative beneficiary, which is now the grandchild of the petitioner, is under 21, when the paperwork is being processed, they can be added to the paperwork. So the mother will be able to add the child depending on how far along it is. But if she's pregnant, you can delay the paperwork. If it's almost at the end, you can delay it so as to permit the birth of the child, and then you're adding the addition of the child to the petition. But if anybody's free to come to America to have a child. It's not against the law. What happens to people is when they come on their visitor's visa, have a baby, but they accept Medicaid for themselves. They accept government assistance for themselves to pay for the birth of the child. The child is an American citizen and is entitled to all of the rights that an American citizen has. So including having Medicaid. So the child is entitled to Medicaid, but immigration says that the mother, who is a non-immigrant, has abused her visa if she comes to America, has the baby, and Medicaid pays her expenses. So just be careful with that. Then you have a public charge question. Although the public charge question goes away when an immigrant visa is filed. So let's say the mother comes here. I don't know how far along the filing is, but hypothetically, the mother comes in August, has the baby, the mother accepts Medicaid for both her and the child. But the filing is still 3, 4, 5 years away. And she travels next year. She could possibly return back at the airport if she has an American citizen child and she's a visitor, and the officer asks her, who paid for your medical expenses? And she doesn't have any proof to show that she paid the bill for herself. She could lose her visa and be sent back home to Jamaica. If, however, her father's petition, as a baby in August, the father's petition is going to come through by December, then the issue of the public charge where she used government expenses will not be held against her because she's migrating, and her public charge issue is taken care of by the affidavit of support that is going to be submitted by her father.
Got you.
Okay.
Now we know. All right. So right. So this morning I was sharing earlier on, that was the first in a long time I was seeing the return of sorts to the crowds of people seeking to acquire U.S. visas and related documentation. Last time you checked, what are they close to being back? No,
it depends on what they're in line for. Because the last time I spoke to my assistant, I was told that appointments are coming up for 2024. But why you might be seeing more people is that they've opened up more appointments. So remember, there are a lot of people waiting on green cards who've been waiting for 3 years, who normally would have had an appointment in 2020, and they still haven't received an appointment. So the embassy might be opening up more availability for appointments in that regard, and they might also be seeing more people for non-immigrant visas, because people also were not applying that much for non-immigrant visas in 2020, 2021 because they didn't want to travel. So now we are, I don't want to say, well, we're out of the pandemic stage. The virus is still around. Virus not going anywhere, but we're out of that pandemic stage. So more people are traveling And I guess the need for visas now has increased for non-immigrant visas has increased. So I think that might be why you're seeing more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm wondering as well if, because I mean, if you don't have a passport, you have nowhere for a visa, so to speak. So I'm just wondering if one is fueling the other, because the Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency building next door Twin Gates Plaza across from Mall Plaza, every day bustling with people.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, even to apply from the consulate overseas for a Jamaican passport now, it's taking 3 months and more for you to get an answer on a passport, because as you know, the consulates here accept passport applications and renewals for Jamaicans living overseas, and now even on their website, they're telling you it's 90 days before you can get a passport, because there's a tremendous backlog.
So we still have some ways to go before we
We do before we get back. I think it used to be 6 weeks before we get back to that 6-week timetable.
All right. Well, we thank you for all the very comprehensive updates on weather-related matters and all. Thank you so much, Miss Delia. You I don't know why we don't make you or what you call it, international correspondent or some outside of this to broaden your scope.
That journalism was my first love. My undergraduate degree is in journalism.
Oh, as my late mother would say, I never see smoke without fire.
So the combination of that and law, those are my two. I shouldn't say my two, but two of my passions. Because politics is another one.
So I learned as well. But the good thing, what is impressive is that everything you do it well. So it's
thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And we appreciate you. Thank you.
A pleasure to be with you as always, and your listeners. So everybody be well. If you have family in Broward County, Florida, please check on them.
That's right.
Please check on them. Yes.
Absolutely.
Take care, Dervan.
You
Until
too.
next time.
Indeed. Looking forward to that. Take care. Bye-bye. That's Delia Walker Huntington, U.S. immigration attorney, ending this week's edition of Your Legal Corner.
You've just listened to Your Legal Corner, your source of information for all matters regarding U.S. immigration. Join us next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. for Your Legal Corner during both sides of the story, right here on Power 106 FM. At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
2 minutes past 4 o'clock.
Winchester MRI Limited, Jamaica's first choice for MR imaging, is conveniently located at the Winchester Surgical and Medical Center. Our board-certified radiologists provide affordable, high-quality
Hi,
MRI
afternoon, Miss
services.
June. One moment, please. We're on a commercial break.
7 p.m. Mondays to Fridays.
We'll come to you
8
after
a.m.
the break.
to 5 p.m. on Saturdays and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays. Call 906-159223 or visit 3A Winchester Road, Kingston. Winchester MRI, Jamaica's first choice for MR imaging.
NIS pensioners, early encashment continues. All pension order vouchers with a payable date in April 2023 may be encashed as of Thursday, April 13. Collect your April payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Please note, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Que ahora es en español, son las 4:03. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 4:03. 现在地点了4点03分. 3 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? Checking in with more on your program, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. Here is Lady June in Oslo, Norway. Good.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what time is it?
4 minutes after 11 Norwegian time.
Oh, look at that. You're 7 hours away, ahead of us.
Yes, no, and in the summertime 6 we change back to 7. Yes, Dervan. I was listening the immigration lawyer just before me, you know.
Yes.
Oh, I was watching what he was telling about Florida.
Oh, you saw it on TV?
I was watching it on CNN. I watch everything, man. Me everything. Me watch everything, man. I was watching.
I'm sorry we missed it. I'm looking forward to the days when we would normally have a television monitor in the studio, because it does make a difference. We would normally have it on CNN, monitoring the news stories around the world. We'd love to get another one in the studio.
Yes, I see it. It was terrible, and I was thinking about the Jamaican, because I know a lot of Jamaicans in Florida. Even myself, I have a lot of family as close as sister, nieces, and nephew, as close as that. So I watch it and keep my eyes on it too. So yeah, we do that. But anyway, that was what I was gonna say. And we get warning here in Norway too. It's raining a lot. But we get warning that we must expect flooding in some areas. But you know, now we're a little prepared for these things. They make sure they keep all the drain clean and open. And when we get the warning, now they go around and check to make sure everything is okay. And we have a lot of hills and valley, you know, things like that. So we are prepared.
All right.
You never know. Anyway, Dervan, that was why I called, so it's not much to say for today. I'm just telling you that I'm watching too. But I watch you on the YouTube, you know.
Thank you.
I can't choose if me can't sit down and choose if me want to watch you live. I me want to lay down in my bed and watch you.
What comfort. Nice.
Okay, we leave it there.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for the call. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye. That's June in Oslo, Norway. As we continue with more on your program, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. Let's clear some more of your messages. This one says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. Happy 30 years in the business. Speaking of which, on this day, Facebook reminded me this morning that on this day in 2017, I was broadcasting live from Beijing, China. And that episode of that Facebook Live episode between Facebook and YouTube, I think the information was Facebook. That was our 500th. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. Our 500th Facebook Live episode. 500th on this day in 2017. Where are we now? We'll have to check the system. But so it is. Anyway, so the message from Owen says, good afternoon, Sir Malcolm. Happy 30 years in the business. Thank you, Owen. We all benefit on this program. I'm a security guard working with one of those reputable companies, and they sent out a roster on our email. When turned up for duty, I can't sign in. When I inquired, I'm told because I didn't sign the contract, signing this contract will sign away my years of service. So I am at work, yet can't log in to get pay. Sorry to hear of your plight. Have you, let me just take another look at the message here. It try your best to see how you can, what my late mother used to say, stay upon crooked and cut straight. In other words, for just not wanting to lose your benefits, and I can well understand you not wanting to lose those benefits. Just try and toughen up mentally, enhance your mental toughness, and ride out that storm for as long as you can or as long as you need to. And just stay, as my late mother would say, as I said just now, stay upon crooked and cut straight. Stay focused on your goal ahead, notwithstanding the rugged terrain on which you're trotting. Thank you for your message, Owen. Also messaging us, Cuban in Georgia. As usual, he has a lot to say. Caller, I think the Green Bay massacre, I think it was about 300 Rastafarians. That's not Green Bay. You're mixing them up, man. Promised jobs and were brought way in maca bushes and was met with heavy gunfire. Mr. Malcolm, if the Rastafarian community is Cuban in Georgia, we can't actually read everything that you have written, you know. Some of it is a little off, and indeed off-putting. Let's try anyway. If the Rastafarian community is being extinct, how can we save their habitat to revitalize the movement once again? There's no extinction here, though, Cuban in Georgia. We want to see a united Rastafarian movement to get their message and movement across as they did before. Fixed election date and term limit for the president as two proposals for the Constitution Committee. And Sir Malcolm, who is taking notes of the people's proposals? Well, there those who hear it would have made a mental note, if not a written one. Sir Malcolm, good afternoon. How can we get our politicians to live in the constituency they were elected from so we can get some improvements in their constituency and the hospitals, schools, roads can get some work done in the constituency? Sir Malcolm, we have to demand greater transparency and responsibility from our elected representatives, because if only when election season draws near we see them coming around to trick the public, and after elections we don't see them again. Remember, no one can trick you without your permission, you hear? It must mean that you're asleep if someone is able to trick you. Maybe sleeping, maybe distracted, etc. No one can trick you without your permission. Sir Malcolm, if the workers of Seprod are stealing, how am I going to get my carbolic soap to use from Jamaica? Well, it's a matter that is being dealt with, and it looks like quite a number of people are in custody already. About 17 plus 13 more approximately are on the run. Oh dear, why do we do these things? Why? Why, oh why, oh why? Why do we do these things to ourselves and our families and our reputation and so on and so forth? Oi. RM says, Sir D, I trust you are well. Speaking about yet another fraud, what's happening with the SSL situation? Can't hear a thing. Maybe because there's nothing to be heard right now. Perhaps they are hard at work. It's like I was at Hillel Academy doing a broadcast. And I asked, the place was so quiet, supremely quiet. And I asked the principal if the school was on holiday. Her response was, no, they're busy working. I'll never forget that. They're busy working. So perhaps that's the case. People are busy working. The students were busy working. Maybe the investigators are busy working. Franklin MacDonald, who's usually ahead of time and prompt in sharing information with us, must have been so busy he forgot to share the information with us with respect to the weather system which impacted sections of Florida yesterday. We're looking at a picture now that Franklin MacDonald has shared. Fort Lauderdale Airport to remain closed until Friday morning after. Let's bring up the rest of this story. Was it from CNN? Yes, CNN. Yeah, but this is one of the things we miss. We normally like to monitor what's happening globally while we're in studio. So we look forward to that TV in studio again. Let's see. Time for a break. Let's take the break and come back with more.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15.
NIS Pensioners Early Encashment continues. All pension order vouchers with a payable date in April 2023 may be encashed as of Thursday, April 13. Collect your April payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Please note, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Both sides of the story.
Do you have a title for your land? Are you thinking about buying or selling land? How much is your property worth? Tune in to Both Sides of the Story with Dervan Malcolm on Power 106 FM every last Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. for The NLA and You, a program that examines the National Land Agency's role in building an efficient and transparent land titling system for Jamaicans. That's The NLA and You on Both Sides of the Story with Dervan Malcolm every last Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal, committed to serve you better.
Que ahora es en español, son las 4:16. Quelle heure-t-il en français? Les 4:16. 现在几点了？4点16分。16 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? Yes, young people, we know you're on holiday, you're on midterm break, but you know what we always say. Even when school is out, homework is always in, because homework is about preparation, and proper preparation prevents poor performance. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And as we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable, education makes you trainable, training makes you employable, and the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Right, so the story shared with us by Franklin MacDonald in Guelph, Canada, says Fort Lauderdale Airport to remain closed until Friday morning after the rainiest day in the city's history causes severe flooding. So yesterday, apparently, was the rainiest day in Fort Lauderdale's history. That severe flooding that occurred. It's described as a 1 in 1,000 year rainfall event, which sparked a flash flood emergency in Broward County and prompted emergency rescues, forced drivers to abandon cars. Same things that Delia Walker Huntington told us. Quite remarkable. And for the whole day yesterday, that missed us. I'm shocked. What happened? What happened to the pop-ups? I'm sure there were some pop-ups. What is this now? FBI arrests 21-year-old Air Force guardsman in Pentagon leak case. Oh dear. What a thing. It's a suspect in connection with the Pentagon leak has been arrested. Boy, what a lot of dishonesty and dishonorable behavior. Oh dear. It's everywhere. From fraud to scamming to robberies and rapes and oh boy. Let's go to David Crosburn, who is holding on the line. Let's bring this up. Let's go. Good afternoon, Mr. Crosburn. How are you?
A very pleasant good afternoon to you and all your listeners. Just we get to hear the happenings in Florida.
Yes.
Just they will overcome their difficulties.
We hope so too.
On the matter of the French information that you brought to our attention.
Yes.
It has certainly closed a lot of gap, particularly for me personally.
We're happy to hear that.
I did not realize I knew about Galde, Louis Galde out in Port Royal.
Yes.
That they said he was buried twice because he was taken in by the Port Royal earthquake.
Yes.
And then, right. But based on your information that you gave when those French persons came, it's shortly after that it was the earthquake. So apparently he was a member of that original 200 persons.
Highly likely.
Yeah, it's quite likely. Simply could be inferred that he was one of those. And another bit of information that you brought to our attention yesterday that really stirred my imagination was the sugar export to the U.S. in 1961. They said it was 106,000 tons.
Yes.
But it was really phenomenal. So that was the highest sugar export to the U.S. But what strikes me was that he said it was able to put us in a position where
we were exporting more than we were importing. Yes.
Most definitely, yeah. And importantly, it was really a purple patch run for the sugar industry, because the following year, 2 years after that, in 63, no, you gave the figures 1962, the 106,000 tons. Well, in 63, we again exported 100,000 tons to the US, 100,000 to the US, 100,000 to Canada, and 100,000 to Peru. So it's like to 100,000 to Canada, 100,000 to the US, and 100,000 to the UK. It was really a purple patch time for the sugar industry.
Apparently.
Indeed. And then shortly after that, the following year, by 65, you produced the highest amount. And by the other year, it was the highest amount came. So, and then the decline set in thereafter. I don't know, in wrapping up, I don't know if you have listened, if you have heard the information and beyond the headlines with the lady from BBC who is going full-time now to to put in our part on the reparation issue.
I heard the story, yes.
It warms my heart and really saying we are really, we need to put in a greater effort, you know?
Yes.
Because, as I was saying, both Germany and Czechoslovakia is involved as well, too, you know, because Germany had the Danks sugar factory in Clarendon. It was a German citizen who owned it.
Yes,
and
that's Danks. That wasn't that one of what's his name's properties. Danks. He was one of his wife. I think he gave a gift to his wife, a gift of that area in Clarendon called Danks, and the name came about because she said thanks in German, in their language, which would be Danke or Dankevel. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Plus, she also owned Charlottenburg in Westmoreland. Charlottenburg is just outside of I don't remember the name of the place, but near to a place in Westmoreland there, near to Frome. And also there's a Charlottenburg in St. Mary.
Oh.
That she owned. Henry Morgan's wife. Henry Morgan, the Welshman,
yes,
married the German. Elizabeth was her name. Then the Czechoslovakia is involved in the industry, was at the sugar factory out in St. Thomas at Surge Island. It was owned by a Czechoslovakian family, but later down in the year, what they did was to, by deed poll, they changed the name from being the Czechoslovakian name to Elder. So you have Elder Park out in Morant Bay in honor of that Czechoslovakian family.
Yeah, I know the park, and I know the history. What's it?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the full name of the individual. Something another Elder Park.
Yeah. Right. So they would be responsible, and we to make part of the
Rudolph. The name just came to me. Rudolph Elder Park in St. Thomas. Rudolph Elder Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a family of three. They were Czechoslovakian, but they had a deed poll to Rudolph Elder, and his maybe brother and another one.
Right.
There. And there's also an area I'm thinking. One of your very passionate caller from Monkland in
St. Thomas. Yes.
Yeah, but she lives in New Monkland.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a sugar factory in Monkland, the Monkland Sugar Factory and Sugar Estate, and I'm wondering if its connection would be with Spain. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find out, but I haven't been successful as yet. But I'm still trying to determine. Because most places, most times, Dervan, whenever you see a place named New, the most times is the old. When I work at New Yarmouth, it takes me a long time for me to find old Yarmouth. And when you find out the history of old Yarmouth as against the history of New Yarmouth, it's like cheese to chalk. Old Yarmouth was awesome. Anyway, I just think I'll share that with you. And thanks, and continue to be strong. And you're doing an amazing job. You will not see the benefit of it just now. But believe me, it's an amazing, and continue to be strong.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Yeah, good.
Take care. Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112 to 5, 876-922-4112 to 5. Genius says, again, sir, I think the English language is a dialect with willful trading tricks. The Queen arrived in Jamaica in an orange dress and departed in a green dress, showing she only has two parties in which she serves, says Genius from Patty Hill. Let's go to the break and come back with more in just a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
NIS Pensioners Early Encashment continues.
Hello.
All pension order vouchers with a payable date in April 2023 may be encashed.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5:28. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5h-28. 现在7点了，5点，28分. 28 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-411-225. 876-922-411-225. Have we cleared all the messages? Let's double check. Let's see what we have here. Bishop Paul Mays says, my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in Florida. We join you in conveying those sentiments. Bishop Paul Mays. Herman Hyatt says, Tana your yard, why risk your life to enter someone else's country? And that's in reference to the concerns about a number of Jamaicans embarking on illegal entry to the U.S. through Mexico and Panama. Kareen Campbell says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm, viewers and listeners. To you too, Kareen. Always good to have you on board. Welcome. Hello as well to Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine. Rachel Graham, it's been a while. Good to see you online. She says, good afternoon, Dervan, blessings and peace. Paul, that's Paul Miles of the eponymous Paul Miles Foundation, saying, good afternoon, Dervan and all listeners. To you too, Paul Miles. Thank you for tuning in. Paul Miles of the Paul Miles Foundation. Eileen Budai, Mrs. Budai, good to see you online in St. Thomas. Hello, Dervan, she says, wishing you all the best. Have a wonderful evening. Blessings. Thank you very much. Same to you, Eileen Budai. Thank you. All the best. And hello to Velta Wilson in St. Thomas. She says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm and listeners. To you too, Velta Wilson. Natalie Winter says, see you tomorrow, Dervan. Remember to take care and keep safe. Bye all tomorrow, she says. And I think we have, let's leave those messages for the time being and hop across to WhatsApp. Good afternoon to Donovan White. We're doing our best as soon as we can connect with you, and we'll discuss your publication. Looking forward to that. Thank you very much for your patience, and all the very best. Let's go into the archives once again now, though. Let's see, where are we? Let's go to... Let's see. For those who love music of a classical nature, 1742. Make a note of that year. Nowadays, the performance of George Frederick Handel's Messiah oratorio at Christmas time is a tradition almost as deeply entrenched as decorating trees and hanging stockings. In churches and concert halls around the world, the most famous piece of sacred music in the English language is performed both full and abridged, both with and without audience participation, but almost always and exclusively during the weeks leading up to the celebration of Christmas. It would surprise many then to learn that Messiah was not originally intended as a piece of Christmas music. Messiah received its world premiere on this day in 1742 during the Christian season of Lent, and in the decidedly secular context of a concert hall in Dublin, Ireland. The inspiration for Messiah came from a scholar and editor named Charles Jennens, Jennens, a devout and evangelical Christian deeply concerned with the rising influence of deism and other strains of enlightenment, thought that he and others regarded as irreligious. Drawing on source material in the King James Bible and the Book of Common Prayer, Jennens compiled and edited a concise distillation of Christian doctrine from the Old Testament prophecies of the Messiah's coming through the birth, crucifixion, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and then to the promised second coming and day of judgment. Jennens took his libretto to his friend, George Frederick Handel, and proposed that it form the basis of an oratorio expressly intended for performance in a secular setting during the week immediately preceding Easter. Messiah would be directed at people who had come to a theater rather than a church during Passion Week, according to the Cambridge Handel scholar Ruth Smith, to remind them of their supposed faith and their possible fate. This didactic mission may have inspired Jennings to write Messiah, but it is fair to say that George Frederick Handel's transcendent music is what made the work so timeless and inspirational. Messiah gained widespread popularity only during the final years of Handel's life in the late 1750s, but it remains one of the best-known musical works of the Baroque period, more than 2 centuries later. When you consider that Handel composed the score for Messiah in just 24 days, you begin to understand the incredible esteem in which some of his followers held him. As Ludwig van Beethoven said of Handel, "He is the greatest composer that ever lived. I would uncover my head and kneel before his tomb." Serious business. What a thing. And one more for you. Let's go to 1777. In the early morning hours of April 13, 1777, General Lord Charles Cornwallis led 4,000 British troops and Hessian mercenaries in a surprise attack on a small garrison of American troops in the village of Boundbrook in central New Jersey. Boundbrook, west of the town of Port Antonio, is a property which was first known as Bog Estate. It was purchased between 1870 and 1880 by Captain Lorenzo Dow Baker, who was born on Boundbrook Island near Wellfleet, Massachusetts in 1840. That is why Bog Estate was renamed Boundbrook in memory of Captain Lorenzo Dow Baker's birthplace, Boundbrook Island near Wellfleet, Massachusetts. Boundbrook is said to be the first of several properties bought or leased by Captain Baker for the growing of bananas and the establishment of a banana trade from Port Antonio to the United States, making Port Antonio, Portland, Jamaica, the birthplace of the global banana trade. We have more for you. Let's clear a couple of messages first. Cuban in Georgia says, Sir Malcolm, deepest sympathy for the Jamaicans in Florida who have been affected by this terrible weather situation. Horace, known as Spider, says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. The evidence is overwhelming for those who care to see that who mankind worshipping as God is actually another race of being from another planet. The former president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, before he became president of the United States, said when he became president, he wanted to know everything about UFOs. And when he became president, he never said another word about UFOs. UFO sighting is real, Mr. Malcolm. There are a lot of mega structures all over the world to let mankind know that these were not made by humans. Could not be, says Horace, otherwise known as Spider. That's all right. So that's some more messages for you. Let's go now to another piece of history before we have to take another break. On this day in 1893, the first Moravian church in Kingston at the southwest corner of Hanover and Barry Streets was consecrated. The decision to establish a church in Kingston was taken at the previous synod, as it was observed that many Moravians were migrating to Kingston in search of employment. The Moravian Church in Jamaica began its mission in 1754 on the Bogue Estate in St. Elizabeth, and all previous churches are in St. Elizabeth and Manchester. Let's go to 1897. There was a fire at the carpenter's shop at King's House in the early hours of the day. On this day in 1897, a call was immediately put through to the fire brigade, and King's House fire bells sounded to alert the neighborhood. The governor and his coachman were soon on the scene, which was just as well. The Kingston Fire Brigade had turned out at once, but on reaching Almond Town, they stopped and returned to base when they realized the fire was in St. Andrew. By the time a company of soldiers had arrived, the governor, together with the stablemen, had extinguished the flames that were fast spreading to the stables. The inventor of the board game Scrabble was born on this day in 1899. For all of you who can spend hour upon hour trying to use up all your letters for the 50-point bonus while on a triple word score, this day is yours to celebrate. You'll be celebrating Alfred Butt's birthday. Alfred was born on this day in 1899. He grew up to become an architect, but lost his job during the Depression. While he whiled away the hours of unemployment, he invented a crossword puzzle word game. He and his friends had a good time playing the game, but that's as far as it went until one fateful day in 1952. Butts and friends were at a resort. He survived the Depression. And as fate would have it, a Macy's department store executive saw them playing their game. The executive took the game back to Macy's, where it became a successful sales item. It wasn't long before the game makers of Selcho and Richter caught wind of the habit-forming board game. They offered Butts 3 cents for every set they manufactured. Butts accepted, and Scrabble went on the assembly line. 35 laborers made Scrabble sets by the thousands. 6,000 sets were coming off the line every week. Scrabble is still one of the best-selling game boards made. Now you can even play it on your computer. Of his 3 cents worth, Butts said 1/3 went to taxes. I gave 1/3 away, and the other third enabled me to have an enjoyable life. And for those who like to shop at J.C. Penney, but without knowing what J.C. stands for, James Cash Penny. One moment, please.
Both sides of knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:46 on Power 106.
NIS Pensioners Early Encashment continues. All pension order vouchers with a payable date in April 2023 may be encashed as of Thursday, April 13. Collect your April payments at your convenience. Simply visit your designated post office. Please note, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Your taxes hold the key. Property owners, let's get digital. Property taxes for 2023-24 are due April 1. Payments can be made by April 30 in full, half-yearly or quarterly installments. Pay using these options. Online at jamaicatax.gov.jm, the THA mobile app, the Mobile Tax Collection Unit, NCB Online Banking and Scotia Online and Mobile app. Call 888-TAX-HELP. That's 888-829-4357. Or visit jamaicatax.gov.jm for details.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5:13. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 5:13. Well, time just changed. 现在地点了5:12。12 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Continuing with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. The first ship of the Jamaica Direct Line Limited arrived at the Grace Wharf in Kingston from England, bringing passengers and cargo. On this day in 1929, the ship would remain in the harbor for 4 days for inspection by members of the Jamaica Banana Producers Association, and then sail to Port Antonio and other ports to take cargoes of bananas to England. A fire raging for some 5 hours in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, was finally brought under control shortly after midnight on the morning of this day in 1929, after destroying the wholesale store and branch shop of Alexander Dolphy, the dry goods stores of Salim Food and James Edwards, and Bennett's Bread Shop. All the buildings were owned by Dolphy. The fire started in Mafood's store. On this day in 1937, an analysis of the Rockfort Mineral Spring in eastern Kingston showed that 1 million gallons of liquid life and health poured daily into the sea, unlimited quantities of mineral water, capable of curing many of the ills Jamaican flesh is heir to, stronger than the spa at Bath in St. Thomas, and more powerful than any of the famous European spas. Minerals identified in the Rockfort Spring are calcium, magnesium, sodium, bicarbonate HCO3, sulfate SO4, chloride Ci, and silica. And let's give you a little more. The Roxy Beer Garden opened in Crossroads, St. Andrew, the same day as the new and impressive Carib Cinema. It happened on this day in 1938. Yes, that's how old Carib is. According to the notices, it should be a welcome arrival to many who will be making Crossroads their nightly rendezvous at the Carib. For here one can get not only beer, but other refreshment and a snack anytime, day or night. The new Carib Theatre in Crossroads opened with 5 shows of the movie The Firefly at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 4:30 p.m., 7:30 p.m., and 9 p.m. Unfortunately, during the last show, the air conditioning unit broke down and patrons suffered uncomfortable from the heat. The movie, a musical, stars soprano Jeanette MacDonald and tenor Alan Jones. The Carib was at the time described as ultra-modern with its air conditioning, sound equipment, and spectacular stage and screen backgrounds and deluxe comfort. At the time, it was the largest building in Crossroads, Carib. Largest building in Crossroads at the time, 1938. The new cinema would be declared officially open on April 19 by the governor, following which the movie David Copperfield would be shown. The Palace Amusement Company 1921 Limited was formed by Audley Moraes and operated as a private company prior to 1921 silent movie days. He reformed the company and offered shares to the public in 1921. Over the years, the company operated Movies, Rose Gardens, and Palace Cinemas. Gaiety and Majestic were subsequently acquired. Odeon, Mandeville was leased, and other cinemas, urban and rural, were built. It operated cinemas and distributed films to many of the independent cinemas that existed in Jamaica and Cayman. In 1938, Cinema Company of Jamaica Limited built the Carib in competition to Palace. In 1947, J. Arthur Rank from the United Kingdom bought control in Palace Amusement Company. The Rank organization bought out Cinema Company of Jamaica Limited, owner of the Carib. J. Arthur Rank closed the movies and built Odeon in Mandeville in 1951 and Odeon in Halfway Tree in 1952. In 1949, Russell Graham built the Tropical Cinema Company and used it as a centerpiece of the competition that he mounted for the movie audience against Palace. In 1962, Russ Graham Investments Limited, a company owned by Russell Graham, bought the controlling interest in Palace Amusement Company from J. Arthur Rank, and Douglas Graham was appointed managing director. The new regime purchased the Majestic Cinema on Spanish Town Road, built the Harborview Drive-In as a partly owned subsidiary, and took control of Tropical Cinema Company, which was a two-cinema company, Tropical and Rialto. In 1989, Russell Graham sold his Russ Graham Investments Company to Douglas Graham, who still has ownership of it, last time we checked. The Carib was demolished by fire September 21, 1996, and Palace Amusement Company rebuilt it as 5 screens. The fire resulted in the death of a firefighter. It was the first time that a firefighter was killed in the line of fire. May he continue to rest in peace, that firefighter. What time is it? We have a little more time. The first shipments of corned beef to be brought to the island since 1942 were unloaded by wharf hands today, as in this day in 1947. The shipment came in on Saturday, April 12 on the MV Argentino from Buenos Aires and Montevideo. The ship brought 5,000 cases of corned beef, 1,552 cases of butter, sunflower, seed oil, and tannin extract. The oil shipment would be used for making laundry soap, which was in short supply. See if we can leave you with some more before we have to wrap. Let's see. Kingston and St. Andrews Smart Set turn out in gloves and gowns for the opening of the Springfield Beach Club in Eastern Kingston. Owner Murray Jacobson was the perfect host, and music for dancing was provided by George Moxie and his orchestra, with vocals by Songbird, the delightful Dolores. What a thing. Decision was taken at a meeting of the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, KSAC, that a march and or public meeting at the Kingston Racecourse should be organized to enable the public to enter protest against the delay by government in dealing with the city transport situation. See how long we've been having transport issues? The council was of the opinion that the public protest should be kept alive so that government would not sit down on the problem and allow it to die without a satisfactory solution being found. And let's see. If you live in the area of Malines Road, here's how much you paid for your house, possibly. 1954, 2 3-bedroom houses on 7.5 acres of land, well-fruited, off Malines Road in St. Andrew, advertised for sale for £7,000. 2 3-bedroom house, that's a giveaway, or maybe back then that was a lot of money. 2 3-bedroom houses on and that's a lot of land space, on 7.5 acres of land, well fruited, off Malines Road in St. Andrew, advertised for sale on this day for £7,000. Is that how much you paid for your dwelling? Oh well. And let's see. Kingston's Mayor Iris King outlined her 5-point policy statement at the first monthly meeting of the KSAC since her election as the first female mayor in Jamaica. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Thursday, the 13th of April 2023. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line. nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, both sides of the story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
But tell me, where do the children play? Where do they play? Where do they play? Where do they play? Where do they play? Got nowhere to play. They got nowhere to play. They got nowhere to play. No, nowhere to play. Nowhere to play. They got nowhere to play. Nowhere to play.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
news, comprehensive, powerful, full and
Bye.
Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.